The first episode I picked is Super Watermelon Island, and this episode shows us that the Watermelon Stevens have created a community for themselves. They have families and all that, and I thought that was a pretty cool. And then Malachite is back, and they offer a Watermelon Steven to her as like a offering
Tribute,
or
yeah.
something. And then that Steven ends up getting eaten. Steven wakes up, he tells the gems, they head to Mask Island, form Alexandrite, and then they take her down. It was a good fight, and it was a good way to start the season off.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, so
Oh, you want me to go now?
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna list all yours, and then I was gonna list mine.
No, we last time we went back and forth. I think it's better that way.
Yeah. All
'Cause
right.
we don't want someone talking for like 10 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm. Um, Hit the diamond. I'll start from the beginning of the season, and I'll build up too. Hit the diamond, where we meet the rubies. I thought that was a funny episode, and then especially seeing more rubies there, it just kind of made it. It made it, I don't know, and then seeing their different personalities, it just made the universe bigger, and like the extent of like the personalities of the gems could definitely be like anything too. And I like, and even like you see how serious Yellow Diamond is to come get like her whatever, like to because they came to get Jasper, so it seems how much Yellow Diamond wants Jasper, and it's funny how she didn't really care about Peridot, she just wanted Jasper. So I think that was a really funny episode. There was a lot of cool baseball puns because Lapis was playing baseball, and then she just didn't care, but she did extremely well. And Ruby and Sapphire were hitting on each other. Oh, and Ruby was also pretending to be one of the rubies. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was a lot of really funny moments in that episode.
I like. I guess this is kind of random, but I like Lapis's personality compared to like the other gems because like as the show goes on, you get all these characters. It's kind of hard to like
Yeah,
make them all different. But I think they did a good job of making Lapis different
she's
from.
she's more like the straight, super serious man. Like she plays like the straight man. That's kind of what her character is. But she's more serious, and you can even argue kind of emo a little bit with it.
Whoa, oh man, too
Yeah,
deep.
just saying that's like I feel like that's like her character, but she does have like her lighthearted moments, especially when she's with Steven or Peridot. But she also like if someone tells her a joke, like when Peridot's like fly us in Lapis, and she's like no, and then it just cuts
Yeah,
to
I
the
love
next scene.
that.
And
She just says it like nonchalantly.
yeah, yeah. So I think yeah, I'm glad each character is different. Like even Peridot's very much more over dramatic and like a narcissist in a way. And yeah, these characters very much like stand out. And I love it. I really do. I'm loving the crystal gems and these characters being introduced.
There were so many episodes, so I kind of had trouble like going through all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, was this a favorite episode or not? So I'm not sure if Hit the Diamond was a favorite episode for me or not, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Check my Twitter from way back then. But again, I like the parts when they're going through all their names and Lapis is just like Bob.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was good. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll go to my next episode. So, Mr. Greg was their first musical episode, and I thought it was fantastic. Greg is now rich, so him and Steven are going to Empire City to live the good life. And Steven wants to bring Pearl with them, and this leads to Greg and Pearl seemingly fixing their relationship with the whole they both loved Rose thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't get anything else on this, but I'd love to see more on that. And I thought it would be interesting if she fell for Greg or something, but I brought that up earlier, so.
Yeah, yeah. Before I go to the next episode, I forgot to mention Same Old World, where we saw a little bit of Lapris's backstory. I did like that episode a lot. I thought that was really cool. I like the art style when they were all more kind of flat. And I enjoyed that one a lot. I can't really remember
It was
that
like a
much.
storybook
Yeah,
way of telling her backstory, pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah. And I thought that was a really cool episode. I actually enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, I agree with you also. Mr. Greg was one of my favorite. The musical aspect was really cool. I liked how they built the arc around the story with with the music and stuff like that. And yeah, seeing that relationship, starting to blossom, definitely a favorite. Definitely worth it. So I mean, I guess yeah, I agreed with you on that episode. That was my favorite one too.
It's a
Uh,
really good episode.
yeah. Um, Oh, I'll just say a little bit. Too Short the Ride was cool just because Peridot's metal powers.
Yeah, Too Short to Ride is definitely one of my favorites
Hmm.
from this season. So Steven ends up giving Peridot a tablet since she doesn't have all her technology anymore.
There was a
And
wait. There was a Tinder app on there, just and that was so funny, like on the tablet, and I was like,
wasn't
"Whoa!"
there a Twitter one too or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. It was so weird.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode though. I don't. I guess I don't need to go through the description of it. I guess people have already seen it. But like basically, Amethyst, Steven, and Peridot they go to like Funland, and Peridot really isn't having fun. She can't shapeshift, all that stuff. She wants to win this alien toy, but she can't win the game. And they're trying to teach her how to shapeshift, and she can't do it. So Amethyst tries to throw her tablet into the sea, and that's something I don't really advise doing. And then we learn that Peridot has metal powers, and I'm not sure how Steven determined this from just a look. Like I was personally thinking telekinesis, and I actually got into an argument with someone, and they got upset with me. And I was just trying to say it's strange to come to the conclusion of metal powers from just a tablet. Like I'm pretty sure most people would think telekinesis, but I don't know. And yes, she was using her hands, but I've seen telekinesis depicted like that, even if it's like using your mind.
Yeah, she was using her feet when she was doing, I forget what episode. She was using her feet too. I think she was playing those instruments.
Yeah, so like how do you say
like
that's
her whole
metal
body.
powers?
Yeah.
But
So-
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they just think it's metal powers, and it might turn out to be more of like a telekinesis thing. Because yeah, she was playing a lot of those instruments, and I don't know if they were all metal based. I'm trying to think now. I don't.
Yeah, wasn't she playing the drums?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I really don't know now.
But I guess I'll go into my next one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I liked the new Lars. It seemed like people online didn't really like this episode, and I'm not sure why. But Steven, he wakes up in Lars's body, and he lives the day like that, and we learn more about Lars. It seems like he reads inappropriate magazines, he's a bad student, and, well, his so-called friends hate him, but we already knew that.
We already knew that.
And your parents shouldn't have to sit down with you and talk to you about your grades. Like, something's wrong with Lars, man.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
what?
I said absolutely.
Yeah, and then the cool kids, they dislike him, and they liked Lars more as Steven than himself. And Sadie, she likes Lars, but feels like he only hangs out with her when it's convenient for him, and then she wants to know how he feels. So Steven, as Lars, says that he's in love with her, which freaks her out, and she ends up kicking him out. But he tells her that he's Steven, and then they go see what happened to Lars. And this episode was definitely more mature, in my opinion. And Lars may be a jerk, but I would like to learn more about him. He's a very interesting character.
Yeah, I thought this was a cool episode too. Yeah, everything you said, I definitely agree with all that.
I think you talked about this, or either I talked about this, but Lars is like almost regressed as a character because he had development earlier on.
Yeah, I think
I think
they
it's
kind
you.
of because it seemed like he built him up, especially the relationship with Sadie, and then I think after that island incident, they definitely, or maybe more or less after that haunted house one, that he kind of just went down. And
Well, I mean, he never really changed in that episode.
That's
would say
that's true, but I'll argue that he changed in the island episode more or less.
definitely.
And yeah, he definitely regressed, and I don't exactly know why they're going for that. I really would like to see him advance more. I hope from now on he's only advancing, because it's kind of getting annoying because everyone's being so nice to him, and if he just realizes that. But I think it's also just a testament to his character, because he doesn't have as much confidence in himself, and I don't think he necessarily even loves himself as a character, which you can see too. So I think that just might be a testament to that type of character he is. But I really hope he takes like a 180 and like he starts growing, because I feel like he could be a really cool character, because he's done some great things, especially in that island episode. And then I think if he ever gets in that relationship with Sadie, that would definitely change him for the better. So I don't know. I hope something like that happens.
I would say keep his personality, but still leave like a little of the meanness in there.
Yeah.
Because like we don't want him to change completely.
Yeah, just make him not as much of like a douche. Like I mean, like he can. I don't mind his personality. It's just he just does some things that are just like, why are you being so frustrating? Like his actions are just more annoying to me.
And then like the cool kids, like Lars got pissed off at Steven for like being in his body, but isn't Steven in the wrong for that? Like the cool kids were trying to protect Steven. I'm like, but Steven it's Steven's fault, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff happened. Um, I want to see more about his relationship with Ronaldo. I kind of wanted more on that, but
Yeah,
again, we haven't gotten more on that.
yeah. I thought, yeah. I don't think there can necessarily be more. Maybe like a redemption between the two, kind of like with the Greg and Pearl.
Hmm.
But
I don't know
yeah,
if they would hang out anymore.
yeah. I think unless they were like forced together.
Ronaldo's too weird. Honestly, I'd be like, yeah, man.
Yeah,
I was thinking
Ronaldo's
about trying, but you've gotten too weird.
yeah, Ronaldo is like annoying too, and I think that's why they can probably both get together. Because if Lars leaves the cool kids and actually hangs out with Sadie and Ronaldo, he'd probably be much more happier. So I mean, I feel like they're probably eventually going to get to that point. But as for now, yeah, I think that's what they're going to be aiming for. Because Ronaldo doesn't have any friends either. So
And he has his brother.
yeah, but that's more or less more a direct Steven friend. And he's not even as much that, but I'm saying like age wise. And I feel like I like that character too, the brother. And if they ever decide to put all the kids together and them going on adventures or something like that, like Connie's already joined the crew. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd kind of be next.
What, he just throws prize?
I feel like he'd eventually do something because he's had his little courageous moments, like when that Fry Man came to life. That was really the creepiest episode. But I feel like
I think the creepiest episode was when Steven went to Onion's house.
that was also very creepy.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was probably more weird. That was a super weird episode when he ate that mouse. But yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you.
I thought things were gonna get weird. I know we're spending a long time on this episode, but I thought things were gonna get weird with Sadie and Lars when they're like in her room, and then she's like, "How do you feel about me?" And I'm like, "No, Stevenson, Lars's body. This is the worst time."
Yeah. I was like, this could be really awkward for Steven. And yeah. I guess one of my favorite episodes was Alone at Sea. That one had to take the cake. Because there was so many themes in that episode, and the main one that really stood out was abusive relationships, and they handled that so well, and it was so great of an episode. And then this episode technically started Jasper's small little arc in the story, and yeah, it was a great episode. I think it was a cool closure episode for Lapis, and I think after this moment, she won't necessarily be afraid to fuse with anyone again. And I feel like her next fusion could probably be with either Steven or Peridot. So I'm excited for that. Speaking of Peridot, I feel like she's going to fuse soon, and that's probably either going to be with, again, Lapis or Garnet. Because when Garnet made that offer, I kind of really wanted to see that.
That scene was weird.
Yeah, no, that scene kind of like a pressure, like she was kind of pressuring Peridot in a way. But I'm interested. I am, and I think everyone wants to see that Peridot Garnet fusion because I don't know what that would look like and what that personality would be like. But
Does Peridot even have a weapon?
But I think they probably use the telekinesis metal bending.
Does that count as a weapon? The weapon has to come out of your gym, doesn't it? Well, no, we have
because Lapis doesn't. Yeah, doesn't have a weapon either. Which I want to know also, why do some gyms have weapons and some don't? That because Lapis is an older gym, so I would think she would have a weapon. Peridot made sense because she said she was newer, and then a lot of those gyms just didn't have weapons. So maybe Lapis has a weapon. I don't. She's already super OP, but
yeah, Lapis seems like one of the strongest gyms.
Yeah, so
besides like the diamonds.
Yeah, so I'm confused exactly on that front. But yeah, Alone at Sea was a great episode. A lot of great things. And then, yeah, just that conversation between Jasper and Peridot, Jasper wanting to take her back. And then that whole, yeah, it was very much an abusive relationship. And they handled that very well.
I thought the episode had like a lot of funny scenes between Steven, Greg, and Lapis. And then we had like Lapis's straightforward personality, like you said. They did like some different things, like trying to have Lapis be captain and showing her fishing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw that there was a problem with the ship, and then we learned that Lapis actually misses Jasper. And I thought that was a little bit odd. and then Jasper comes back and wants to be fused with Lapis again. And like you said, it seems like an abusive relationship. Like this seems like very much a real relationship.
Yeah,
Like
it really is. Yeah.
like even though you're getting abused or something like that, you still want to be with this person. You kind
Yeah.
of miss them, and it's kind of messed up. But I mean, I like the way that they're putting this in a cartoon. I like the way that they're portraying this.
Yeah.
But Lapis ends up knocking Jasper back
Yeah.
into
She
the sea.
chooses that she doesn't want to go back to that because she said she was liking the way they were fused. She was liking the way that they were treating each other. And again, that is like an abusive relationship. So it was a great episode. Loved
You know
it.
a weird way of handling it? They could have had Jasper being like, you want to come back.
Oh yeah, if they did, yeah. But I think that would have probably pushing it too much. But no, yeah, she could definitely, yeah, yeah. That would have been wild. That would have been crazy.
Now, I want to talk about an episode that I didn't like, so this won't count as a like, but it seems like a lot of people liked Beach City Drift, and I didn't really get it. Like, yeah, it's an initial D reference, but the episode was almost just a throwaway episode because it doesn't really affect anything overall. And I didn't even know that Kevin was considered an actual character. I thought he was a throwaway character or like a one-time character,
hmm
but that was it.
I think the point of that episode was showing Steven and Connie that they shouldn't just fuse for like their own personal, like not personal reason, for like a reason that they both don't equally think is important. I guess like
They should fuse
like,
for Kevin. I know they
yeah.
gave like a reason in the episode, but I forgot.
Yeah, but I think that's the main point because like being fused is such a
Intimate
thing, and they were doing that just to get back at Kevin, and that's super messed up. So I think that was more or less the point. I thought it was a cool episode. Yeah, I liked it though. I liked it just because of that moment. I think that moment really made the episode for me, at least.
I think it's an episode that sounds cool on paper, but like the way I just didn't really like it. But I had different opinions. One episode that I wanted to go back to, the one that you didn't talk about, was Monster Reunion, and I thought this was an interesting episode because we got to see Steven's healing powers return, and we know that he can use it on gems. So he
Yeah.
used it on Centipedal, and we learned more about her before she was corrupted. She was a captain of a crew who was sent to Earth, and they got caught in the gem war, and she was separated from her friends. And then one of the diamonds, you say White Diamond, shot some light on the planet, and then that ended up corrupting her and other gems. And this is interesting because I think we learned that there are no corrupted gems on Homeworld later in this season.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
was-
a lot of cool things were introduced in that episode. Like we talked about it earlier too, like the possibilities of like is White Diamond in charge of this? Why did they decide to corrupt all these gems and all that type of thing? So I missed that episode by accident, but that one's definitely a favorite too. And I think Monster Reunion, Alone at Sea being back to back made that a really like action packed, like a cool little 2 episode thing.
It would make sense if White Diamond was in charge, because when you think about a diamond, what do you think about? A white
A
diamond.
White Diamond, yeah.
So, yeah. I think it's you.
Um. Huh. Now, I want to say it would be. This is tough. It's between Crack the Whip and Steven versus Amethyst, and I feel like those are pretty much one whole episode combined because it's pretty much back to back, and the actions of Crack the Whip at the end kind of affect the Steven versus Amethyst. But I think because of what that happens, that Steven and Amethyst's relationship gets stronger, and we learn more about Amethyst's feelings, and that was kind of like we learned also that Jasper is what Amethyst was supposed to look like, but she's a lot shorter and she's weaker than Jasper. So, and we also learned that the only way Jasper gets defeated in the series, and I feel like that's also kind of a joke, is through fusion. Like no one else can defeat her by themselves. It has to be with fusion, and that also shows like her own power level. But yeah,
I feel like Jasper has a point though. Like I brought this up in my review. The only time the gems can beat Jasper is with fusion, and I feel like in a way that shows that the gems are weak because Garnet is a fusion. What was the other one? Stevani is a fusion, and then Smoky Quartz is a fusion.
Yeah. And then
They can't beat Jasper on their own. Like none of them can.
Yeah, but I think it also shows that the crystal gems have more tactics because Homeworld just doesn't fuse. So, and that's their fault. So, I mean, if they want to get stronger, then they just fuse. Like I think that's the pro. Yeah, I do see Jasper's point too. And a cool thing about the episode, she's obsessed with fusion in a way as well. I thought they were gonna play that up more in the show, but they kind of didn't. But
I thought the fight between Jasper and Amethyst was pretty epic.
Yeah, and when she's like falling in front of her,
It's like such an anime shot.
Yeah, that was cool. I really did like that too.
And apparently Jasper lives in the sea now. Like
because I think that has a lot to do with that connection with Lapis, because Lapis was all water, and then they were in the sea for so long too. So I feel like it's weird that she can swim so well too. So, but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
But in Crack the Whip, Amethyst does end up getting poofed, and then she reforms. She has like a white T-shirt now. I think you said her hair is more wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if her hair always covered her eye, but
I think because I think they probably wanted to draw her differently, because I think that's all the characters now. They're making their hair different. Well, besides Garnet necessarily and Steven.
Can't mess with the fro, man.
Yeah, besides Garnet and Steven. But I think it just looks better when these animated characters have not like crazy wild hair, but it just looks more natural than just like straight like plain. So I think that's also a big reason they did that.
It's also nice to change the character's design after a while. Like, you don't want to have the same design, like, for however long this show is going to go on. Mm-hmm. So I like that.
Yeah.
Even though it's, like, subtle, it's still good to have, like, a different design.
That's a great point, because anytime they break apart and they fuse back, they get a new design. Like, when Steven and, well, I don't know if, not Steven.
Garnet?
When Garnet was destroyed the first time and she came back, she had a new design, and then that's the same for like
Pearl,
and then Amethyst a few times. So and then that also brings up not necessarily my favorite episode, but when the final episode, the bubbled, when Steven was like, okay, if she takes my gem, what happens to me? So that's a great point. I actually never thought of that. Like, he can't necessarily be poofed, I don't think. So I don't know.
There was I thought it was awesome. I'm going back to Crack the Whip, but I thought it was awesome when Steven and Connie fused together on the spot to save Amethyst and make Jasper leave. I wouldn't really say that they defeated her though. And for some reason, I don't know if you noticed this, but Stevani's design looked very skinny in this episode. Like, I don't know what happened there. It was drawn weird.
I didn't really notice that. I noticed that her hair was wild, and Amethyst was looking at her and kind of, I think, was remembering a lot of Rose.
Another anime shot?
Yeah, I really think that's what they were doing with that aspect of it. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't notice that, though.
I thought Steven being stronger than Amethyst was great. Like, it shows how his character has progressed and how Amethyst, I guess, like, isn't really getting stronger. Mm-hmm. And, the whole thing with Jasper's insults messing up Amethyst and having that plot line continue for the next few episodes, I thought that was good. Mm-hmm. They had like a continuing plot. Anything else on this episode?
Nope.
All right, well, I'm going to do mine. I'm going to go back because I have one that you missed. Well, we have different episodes, but anyway. Greg the babysitter. I think any episode with a Greg flashback is great. I feel like we need a Greg universe spin-off series. I would love that. And this episode is basically about how Greg came to work at the car wash. He needs money, and he ends up babysitting Sour Cream, who is pretty much the same as a baby. And he leaves Sour Cream with Rose for a little bit, and then the baby goes missing because I think she said that she let him do whatever he wanted. And he's like on the ride at Funland now. So I think Greg and Rose try to rescue Sour Cream. It doesn't really work out. So at the end of the day, Rose has to rescue both of them. Yeah. And then he ends up giving Sour Cream back to Vidalia, and he applies the car wash. This episode wasn't really about the car wash. I don't understand why it was like a story about how he came to work there. He just signed up.
Yeah, I
like a regular job.
well, I think it was kind of a build up because he was. It kind of also the theme is like, um, in a way, giving up your dreams, to like make money because like he wasn't making money. Well, he would have made a lot of money, but Marty never told him about like the big check that he got. So I think he was choosing to be someone who could make money for himself and kind of prosper over like his art, which he wasn't really necessarily doing that either because he was kind of getting obsessed with Rose in a way. And I think this is a cool episode also because it showed how the crystal gems treated babies, and it made sense to why Greg didn't want Steven over there when he was a baby, because they probably would have just let him do whatever he wanted, and he probably would have got hurt. So, and also seeing Sour Cream as a baby and still having the same voice, that was really funny. And him just wanting to be the cool baby, I thought that was a cool little aspect to it.
Do you know how old Greg and Vidalia were in this special? I was thinking like in their 20s, maybe.
See, I don't know because I made a Steven Universe reaction. I mean, a theory about like onion and sour cream being related, and it was weird because like at that age, I think he was still very. I don't even think he was in his 20s when he first met Pearl, and then I need to go back to that theory, but it was kind of like they said it was only over like 10 years until they decided to have Steven. But at that point, Greg was an old bald, pretty much bald with like the beard. So I don't know exactly how old Greg is, or like it's weird. They didn't really explain that well to me. I think also Greg just ages very poorly because Vidalia is older, but it's not like the same way for Greg. Marty looks terribly old though. So
yeah, he's like going bald and everything.
Yeah, so I'm really confused at how old they all are during all of this. Because you could say they're in their 20s, but I think Greg was fairly young when he was with Marty. So I really don't know. I feel
like
don't know.
20s is like a good age where you might have a child. And I mean, she was with Marty, so maybe it was early 20s or something.
Yeah, but I think that was all just an accident too. So
I can't believe they included that.
Yeah.
Because I was watching the episode, I was like, why does Greg look disgusted? Did they just?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, they did.
Yeah. And it comes full circle now. It makes complete sense now. So.
I'm on the wiki page right now. There's no age listed for Greg, so
yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I don't think he's as old as he looks, but I really don't know.
His character design looks so different as an adult.
Yeah,
Like I feel like it almost doesn't look right. But I don't know. That's me. I think it's on you. Next episode.
I like the Bismuth episode a lot. Just to show what type of person Rose Quartz was, because it seems that everyone holds her at such high regards when they're talking about her, but as someone who cared so much about her, she poofed her, and then she didn't tell the rest of the crystal gems about what happened. She just kind of made a secret. She left her in this line that no one knew about, the line also. So she pretty much left Bismuth to stay there forever. And it's interesting. It's weird and it's interesting, and I really don't understand. It puts more character on Rose Quartz as a person.
I think I left a comment on your video about this. Basically, I don't see the problem with poofing Bismuth and leaving her in line just because of what she was about to.
Yeah, I don't see the problem. I think she just should have told them, and that's the big thing. Bismuth said too, like, you acted like you cared about us, but you didn't even tell our friends what you did to me. And I think that's more the problem. It's not that she poofed her; it's that she didn't tell anyone about it.
But she wanted to kill. Well, not kill. I guess shattering. Like we talked about that before. But she wanted to shatter the gems.
She could have still told them though. Like if that seems like a decision you shouldn't just make on your own. Like just poofing a friend and then locking them up and not telling anyone about it and saying that you lost her.
I mean, if a friend tells me, "Hey, man, I'm gonna kill some people," I'm gonna call the police right away.
Okay, yes, but I'm not saying what she did was wrong about poofing. I just think she should have told them. She just didn't tell anybody. She lied about it.
Well, I guess
You
that
know, that's the
she could
thing
have.
about it, and it shows the difference between Steven and Rose because it's showing that Steven is a better person in theory than Rose is.
I still wouldn't criticize Rose for doing it, but I probably would have told someone as
Yeah,
well.
I just think the problem is she just didn't tell anybody. That's the thing, and she
It
lied
is a
about it.
little odd to not tell anyone
Yeah,
about it
because
because it is
this is
kind
a
of
friend.
important.
Yeah, this is a friend to everybody, and then you lie, say that you lost her or whatever, and you don't actually say that she's actually in my lion, which the line you also didn't tell about to anyone as well. So, which I can't wait to see the backstory about Lion whenever we get to that, if we ever get to that, which I think we will.
I'm lying as Rose.
Maybe, maybe, maybe.
I don't know about that, but maybe like a part of her. I feel like Rose is Steven. Like we're still gonna go
Yeah,
with that. Um,
yeah, because Rose. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Lion.
maybe she like created him, or maybe she's like part of his gem or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Steven and Lion fusion confirmed. You heard it here first.
That would be interesting. That would be super. Like he could already fuse with Connie. Maybe, maybe.
But I guess wait, no, I had some stuff about Bismuth. What was that?
Oh, sorry, I accidentally pressed something.
Um, I guess like I everything's already been covered in my review, but I just didn't really like Bismuth as a character. I thought there were two good episodes, or it was like one whole episode. It was longer than usual. And they had like the eye catch, just like an anime episode. I thought that was cool. But overall, I just didn't really like Bismuth as a character, and I didn't really feel bad for her. I mean, like you want to shatter gems, so I mean, you kind of deserve to get stabbed and then get bubbled. But you know, just my opinion. I feel like it's a character that can't be redeemed, and I feel like that would be a good lesson.
I think it's just sorry to cut you off, but I think the whole point of why she wanted to shatter gems because she thought that was the only answer, because that's what they did with Yellow Diamond. I don't. Well, I don't. I want. I mean, Pink Diamond. And I don't know if that was before or after. You know, I don't know if she. I want to say that like the thing with Bismuth was after they shattered Pink Diamond.
I feel like it was before because. I think the event with Pink Diamond might have ended the war, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think I want more backstory on that because.
So I would feel like Bismuth would be before that.
I really do think Bismuth can be redeemed, because and she's definitely going to be back because again she's the reason she poofed Lapis. So I think I want to see that.
I don't know about that because someone left a comment on my video saying that is a different Bismuth.
They can't just. How would they know that? We don't even know that.
I think they said the crew might have confirmed it, but I couldn't find any information on it.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
But there is one thing that I did point out in the video that I did on that. The Bismuth has longer dreads than the one that we see.
Well, it's just, that was definitely a concept drawing. Like that was way in another season. This is definitely in a final drawing of that one.
I don't know. Everything seems very planned out with this show.
I know, but I'm saying they could have expanded more on the drawing because she didn't even have like an apron or anything like that one who poofed Lapis. And
that's the defining feature of her, the apron.
I'm just saying. I think they make everything so meticulous, and I think they show this gem that we haven't even seen yet, and then she gets reintroduced in the next season. I would think, and especially we know how violent Bismuth was, and of course she was out there just. Poofing gems that probably didn't have anything to do with the war because Lapis had probably nothing to do with the war. She just happened to be on Earth.
Yeah, she was just like visiting.
So and especially knowing what type of character Bismuth was, I really think it's that one. I 100% think it's that one. I don't think they'd show a different one and then be like, oh, they're different Bismuths. I think it's definitely because if that was the case, they wouldn't have shown who poofed Lapis. They just would have said she was poofed.
It's a good mystery. They planned it out.
Yeah,
all the way.
So I'm interested. I want to see that come full circle because I know it will. I know she's gonna come back. I know Jasper's gonna come back. I know Cenopedo's gonna come back. So and I know at least one of the rubies are definitely gonna come back. So I'm excited to see what that comes back to.
Jeez, how many people do you want to join the Crystal Gems?
No, I don't. I'm not saying they have to join. I just want them characters to come back.
But there was one thing I was talking about earlier, and like how I think Bismuth can't be redeemed, and I think that would be a good lesson for Steven and the gems, And we can make it go even further and compare Bismuth and Jasper. So Bismuth would be the one that couldn't be redeemed, and then Jasper would be the one that is redeemed and actually ends up joining. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna unpoof her because she can't. They're not gonna keep her there forever.
I mean, they haven't unpoofed any other gems besides
They're all the other ones are corrupted. I think the only ones who are whole is Bismuth because Jasper's even corrupted right now.
But
So
Steven, I don't know. He could have saved her. I'm not sure. Anything else? I kind of interrupted you, so.
No,
Okay.
you got it.
Well, I'll do my episode. So, Beta, this is the episode where Steven and Amethyst go visit Peridot and Lapis, and they've been working on the barn. They made it more home-like. And Steven tells Peridot about what happened, so they end up going to Jasper's kindergarten. And then they learn that Jasper came out perfectly, and she's been capturing corrupted gems for an army. So then Amethyst sees her, and the episode ends, and I thought that was a really epic ending that goes right into the next episode.
Yeah.
If you had anything, I want to do Earthlings too, but did you have anything for Beta?
No, I mean I agree with you too. I like Beta and Earthling, so you can just
They kind of go together.
Yeah.
So Earthlings is the rematch between Jasper and Amethyst. So Amethyst, she ends up losing the fight once again, but Steven is there to comfort her about her shortcomings. You know, like I'm small too, blah 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 blah, and they're just something. Or what does this say? Yeah, the shortcomings, they're just something that you have to live with, and you just have to get over them. So they end up fusing into smoky quartz. And it was funny because, like, while the moment was going on, it's just like, I think an amethyst and a rose quartz makes a smoky quartz, and they come up with the name on the spot. I'm not too big on the design of the smoky quartz, but I think her theme music is cool, but she looks pretty silly. So then Jasper fuses with a corrupted gem to fight back, and she ends up losing the fight. And then Jasper ends up getting corrupted herself because she fused with the corrupted gem. And she did talk about how fusion was the only trick that the gems knew, and I personally think she's not wrong. They've only defeated her with fusion. If it was on equal ground, one-on-one, they'd probably lose like Jasper did. And then Jasper also talks about how Rose pretty much picks up gems at their weakest point, and then she builds them up, and I think that's pretty true. Steven tries to heal Jasper, but she attacks him and scratches his shirt. And then we learn that her diamond is actually pink diamond. And then she becomes corrupted all the way. And then Peridot is actually the one to defeat her.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was a great episode because we got introduced to a new fusion. We see Steven fusing with someone else beside Connie, even though I don't like Smoky Quartz design.
Like, what's up with the 3 arms?
I think it's pretty awkward looking, and I think that's pretty much what you would get with a Steven and Amethyst. So, I mean, I can't necessarily blame them, but yeah, those 2 episodes were really great. That final moment where Jasper's explaining who her diamond is very much, and then we also see who Rose Quartz's diamond is, which was pink diamond. So it kind of expands on that. So I'm actually very excited to learn more. And yeah, it was a very solid episode for me.
So what was she was like, my diamond, your diamond, pink diamond.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if this is rude to say, but Smoky Quartz's design, it's like awkwardly fat. And I don't know, it looks weird to me. But again, they're both like bigger characters, but I think that's like part of the reason why it looks weird. If it was like small, like Amethyst or Steven, I think I'd be more okay with it. And if it had like 4 arms instead of like 3 or 2 arms, because I don't know what's up with the 3 arms. I feel like that's something that needs to be explained.
I think because when Garnet and Amethyst fuse the Sugalite, they have 4 arms, but that's 3 characters. And
some
so
people think
maybe
it's Steven.
Maybe every time they've I'm okay, I understand now. Maybe when Amethyst fuses with other gems we've seen so far, they all have 4 arms. But because Steven is half human, half gem, it doesn't get all 4 arms. It just gets 3 of the arms. I think that's probably how they wanted to explain that. It looks weird, but I think that's what. And it's weird that her thing's a yo-yo. But I think that's what that means at least.
I thought it was cool. Like, they took the shield and then they mixed it with the whip, and then it became a yo-yo.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really cool weapon. But one thing that was kind of different is that Smoky Quartz summoned Steven and Amethyst's weapons separately, and then the other gems have the weapons already fused together.
Not all the time. I've seen a few times that they get all the weapons and they put them together. I think they did that with the first time we met the giant woman.
Wait, Opal?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she put the two weapons combined. I'm pretty sure we've seen that before.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm wrong on that, so.
Yeah.
But if we're done with that, I think there's one more episode.
Mm-hmm.
So. Unless you didn't want to cover that one.
I mean, there's only 2 more episodes left, and I like them both. So. I mean,
oh yeah, there were 2 episodes. I was thinking. I didn't write down.
You're thinking of Back to the Moon and Bubbled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I liked it a lot. I liked both of those episodes a lot. It was cool to learn more about Pink Diamond and then learn more about what Rose did to Pink Diamond, shattering her. I think that was great, and also getting reintroduced with these 5 characters coming back from Neptune, which is pretty funny. And then Bubbled having that conversation between Steven and Eyeball, and then learning that Steven can't necessarily save everyone. I think that's what the conclusion came to Bubbled. Because even though he helped heal Eyeball, and it seems like in the past that's what he's done, all these people he helped heal and befriend, they actually became his friends. It didn't work this time. This person still wanted to kill him and take his diamond. And then it kind of ended with Steven kind of getting super depressed and his bubble getting smaller, and he drifts off into space. That's actually super depressing. And then he gets saved by the crystal gems, and they all just start crying. And Steven's like, did she really shatter? Or why did she shatter Pink Diamond? I forget what Garnet said. I think it was like...
She said that she didn't always do what was best for herself, but
she did it for
rather
Earth,
always do it. Yeah.
Yeah, she did what was best for Earth. And I think, this was a great episode. I think from Beta and Bubble, they were all back to back to back to back. So it's a cool little mini arc in that aspect of it as well. So I love these episodes. Great episodes, great season, and if you have anything to say about those episodes.
I think like the effects of what Rose has done still kind of affect them till today.
And and I've been saying that in all my everything that she's done, especially the negative things, are really coming back full throttle at Steven. And that's kind of unfair to Steven and unfair to the rest of the Crystal Gems.
Yeah, because Steven has to live with like Rose's problems.
Yeah, and we're really seeing that aftermath. And I think I noticed that the most with Bismuth when she came back, and then Jasper, and then with the diamonds. Like it's coming back at her, and even the relationships that Steven has to deal with in Seela, because now she has to deal with Amethyst. She has to deal with that Pearl, and then Pearl and Greg's relationship he had to deal with. So it's like it's these things that she left. And she didn't fully solve, or she didn't fully realize what's happening. And now Steven has to grow up. And we're seeing in this season that Steven is getting more mature, and he's dealing with these problems in different ways. And,
It shows how fixated people are on Rose, because Jasper calls him Rose. The Ruby thought he was Rose. Who else calls him Rose? Bismuth thought he was Rose. Like, people are really fixated on Rose, whether that's like in a positive way, like them loving her, or just being friends or whatever. And then you have like the people that hate her because of what she's done.
Yeah, no matter who it is, they had such strong feelings towards Rose, if it was negative or positive. Those feelings, and they lasted for like thousands of years. So, especially with like Jasper, like that fight was like 2,000 years ago, and then that's still coming over. Bismuth's been bubbled, that's coming over. So.
There's one thing I didn't cover, and this goes back to the whole thing where we were learning about Jasper. I like that Jasper, is a character that's been in the show for a while, but we actually learn more about her, and the fact that she is like perfect in a way. I like that, learning more things about characters that probably weren't obvious to most people. So I thought that was cool, but I like the part where Steven was like drifting in space. I thought that would have been a cool thing to like maybe have like a time skip at that point, and then like coming back to Earth, and he's like older. But Other than that, I think yeah, we're done with like our favorite episodes. Unless you have anything else.
Nope.